Switching to some of the personalities of the guys, you have a really dynamic kind of mix of personalities with that defensive lineman room. What does Logan Lee add to it? You know, Coach Ferentz always makes jokes about how he's married with 2 kids and a dog already and stuff like that. How is it having him in that locker room?
He's a grounding force. I think he's a guy that he doesn't say a whole lot. Obviously, very strong in his faith, and I think that especially for the young kids, he's a calming and grounding force for them to be able to lean on because he's so gracious and he's so easy to talk to. And if there's ever a message that I want to get across to the group, he'll be a good place to start just because of the way that his personality is kind of seeps through the locker room. Not just our group, but in the locker room as well. He's always a guy, along with Noah Shannon, along with Joe Evans, with them being older. Chris Green was another guy that's being older. Those guys, if I ever need a message to get across, whether it be to the room or to the team, those are the guys that I would start with.
Do you ever forget how young Logan actually is? Because it just seems like he's like an old man out there.
Sometimes. No, that's one thing. I never forget how young any of these guys are. I ask them questions about NFL players from days of yore. And when I mean by days of yore, I'm talking about the late 90s, and they have no idea. But if I see something on Twitter or if I see something on TikTok, they're definitely the ones that keep me in the loop, keep me young. But no, I do not forget how young. That is not lost on me. That's all a really young group of guys just because of, they don't know what they don't know, So it's a good mix because they keep me young and hopefully I enlighten them with some things that they kind of make them think.
Yeah. Now, Y.A. Black, he's obviously, physically, he's just such a demanding and seems like he's such an intense person, but actually when you get to talk to him, he's such a goofball and kind of like a gentle giant. Can you explain that kind of dynamic that he has?
Yeah, the only thing demanding, there's not really anything demanding about Y.A. Until he steps on the field. Obviously he's done a really good job for us. Looking for a big jump this year. He's practicing well, he's finally healthy, but just as a guy, man, he's one of the sharpest guys in the room. He's really smart. He's got a great perspective, a music connoisseur, and just you can have a lot of really deep conversations with Y.A. that you probably couldn't have with a lot of other guys. There's a lot of depth to that guy, and really glad that he's here. I'm excited for him this year. Finally being healthy. I think he's ready for a big fall.
And you were on that paintball trip that everyone took.
Yeah, I was.
All right, so what did you kind of learn about your team in that, getting to see a lot of the competitive and even some teamwork in there, and what kind of surprised you?
First, I want to shout out to Clear Creek Paintball in Lisbon, Iowa. They were awesome. Brenna, she took care of us. One thing that I saw, we don't like to talk. I talk about the defensive line a lot. When we had to break up into groups, there was a dichotomy. We broke up with tackles and ends. That was very clear. And it was shocking to me who saw themselves as an end and who saw themselves as a tackle. When I like to think of guys playing all 4 spots, so that was good. But I'm glad that those guys are out there. They had a blast. Something that they've been wanting. They've been wanting to do something competitive. And I was thinking about mini golf. And I was like, that's just not it. And I was thinking about, can we get some go-karts? And I was thinking, where are go-karts just in this area that we all can get to? And that wasn't it. So, paintball was perfect. The guys loved it. We were out there for 3 hours. It felt like 1 hour.
And Deontay Craig, obviously he came on really well coming off the bench last season. What are you expecting to see from him this season?
Just continued growth. Craig is a guy that, again, flexibility, could play inside, outside. He's another guy in that class of 2020 that, the COVID class. And just, man, I appreciate what he's done here so much because he's an ultimate student athlete. Excellent grades off the field, a really good teammate in terms of helping out the young guys. And what he's done and he'll tell you, he was a basketball guy first. That basketball was his first love, but man, he is no doubt a football player. Just the way that he practices, he's out here every single day, helping the young guys, just the things that we expect. And, long after football is over for Deontay Craig, when he's done playing, in college or NFL or however far he goes, man, he's got a bright future. If he can communicate, he's sharp, and he's got a great smile.
First, work with the defensive line as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. How's it looking so far? Any practices?
Kids are working really hard. We got a great group of guys. As most of you know, it's a pretty veteran group. So we're excited to have guys back that have games under their belt, their season, and they're off to a good start in camp, doing a really good job about where I would expect them to be, and we'll keep climbing as we go. But we got 8 good practices under our belt, hopefully 9th tomorrow, and a good front end of the block of the training camp. And we're off to a good start, so we're happy with how they're doing.
And finally, as a coach, you've been coaching for a number of years. What's it like when you get an opportunity to work with a veteran group?
Well, it's nice because a lot of the things that you have to coach with younger guys, it's not that you don't coach it, because I think you always start back at scratch and act as if they know nothing. But the beauty of it is they already do know, the basics of the defense and their assignments, responsibilities with all of our calls. So it's a matter of making sure they're brushed up on their assignments, and then trying to elevate them from where they were a year ago to where we hope they can get this year. And that's an ongoing process that we're getting into at training camp. Thank you.
Coach, good to see you.
Good to see you. How you been?
Doing good. So talk a little bit about the defensive line. Everybody kind of thinks this is going to be the strength of maybe the entire team, not just the defense, and depth seems to be the common denominator. Would you agree with that assessment? Are you as deep as you've been since you've been here?
I'd say we're right there where we're capable of probably putting 9 or 10 guys in the game. We'll wait and see how a few of the guys that are toward the back end of that top 10 look once we get into these final couple of weeks of camp. But I think right now we're in a real good place, and if we continue to move the direction that I hope we do, I think we'll get to that point where we can get anywhere from that 8, 9, 10 number of guys into the game. I think we got a chance to be at that level.
How much of a jump have you seen out of Aaron Graves in year 2?
He's progressing nicely. I had that question asked to me back in the spring earlier, and the thing that a lot of people forget is how young he really is. So even though he played a lot last year, he's still got a huge upside. And because he's such a hard worker and a student of the game, and works hard to develop his craft, he is continuing to climb and getting better and better. So he's had a good 8 practices. He's on a good path. And I think he'll be, if he just keeps on doing what he's doing, he'll be in a real good place come game 1.
And Terrio Thompson transfers over. I know he wasn't on the initial depth chart, which doesn't always mean much, but what have you seen from him? And physically, he looks the part of a Big Ten guy who can be a plug-and-play guy. Mm-hmm. Does he look that way in practice so far?
Well, what you see physically when you look at him on the hoof is what you'll see when you watch him on the field. He's a real explosive, powerful guy, very gifted athletically. The challenge for him is going to be to see how far and how fast he can come in terms of just picking up the defense and all the little intricacies that go along with playing our position. But he's certainly got a lot of tools in his repertoire, and he's got a huge upside. So.
And as far as veteran leadership, with Noah, I know he's out right now, but with Noah and Joe, and you just go down the list, Logan, is it veteran of a group? Is the leadership up front right now kind of at an all-time high in your opinion?
I think we're good there, yeah. Another guy that hasn't been, he's played a lot before in spurts, but a lot of it, he's had so many injury problems in the past, and now we've got him healthy as Y.A. Black. He's a big load in there, a big guy, and at 6'5" or 6'6" and 315 pounds or whatever, he presents some things physically that a lot of the other guys don't. And so we're excited to see him out there practicing and being injury-free, and he's taken off and really done well, and probably one of the sharper guys in the room mentally on top of it. So.
How do you generate more sacks? Obviously you can't control what the offensive line is allowing, but how do you generate more sacks? I know it's a loaded question.
Well, I think for us, we've just got to try to make sure guys understand the fundamentals of their pass rush. We really emphasize that we get those sacks as a group. Obviously, somebody's going to get credit for the quarterback going down if we do get the sack, but sometimes, even though the guy who makes the sack may not have generated, it might have been pressure from some other place in the pocket that forced the quarterback off of his point. So that's the thing that the common fan, the average fan, doesn't see or maybe realize. And so we're just really trying to make sure that they understand as a group of 4 guys, provided there's not a blitz call with a 5th guy or a 6th guy coming, that, it's every guy doing his part that's going to allow us to hopefully see those numbers continue to rise.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Jay.